Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. So today we are out in the field, here at the football field, because it's got some good lines we can really use for today's video. So yesterday I went out, played a tournament. It didn't go great. I had a bad first round, picked it up, played a decent second round to get myself back up to fourth. At one point I was in solo second, but lost it with an OB throw one hole prior to my finishing hole. So hey, it is what it is. But with that, I walked away with a new disc. So I got to pick out a new disc. And what I grabbed was something that's new. It's something that actually, if you've been watching a lot of YouTube reviews recently, a lot of people are checking out this disc. Really, it starts with this disc. So this is the 2024 Gyro Palooza prototype balance. And this is the Simon line balance that got released. Prototype, limited run, just with the Gyro Palooza box. And what people found was that it was very, very overstable. And so MVP Axiom released V2 and then V3. I believe V2 has a red stamp and V3 has a black stamp. They're the Simon line stamps on them. And then just recently, the stock run was released. And so a lot of videos over the last few days have come out showing those discs. But I actually got my hands on a special edition balance. And so this one's really cool. Haven't thrown it yet. So we will throw that today, compare it, see, is it as overstable as the Gyro Palooza one? I know you guys have probably watched a couple of videos, if you're watching this one already, of people like Bedanza or others out there, Iceberg TV throwing them. And you may find that you already have an answer to that. But I've got a little bit less arm speed. I'm a little bit older than those guys. I'm 48, and so a little bit less arm speed, probably pushing anywhere from mid-50s to mid-60s normally is what I'm throwing. So we'll see how these fly for me. But normally people are comparing them to something like this, the Pyro. And so I've got this one. This was the Dan Brooks Wells Pyro. This was the stamp he did. I got some coaching from him last year, and so I picked that one up. But I also, everyone's always comparing them to other MVP Axiom discs, so that's kind of a normal comparison, that or the Reactor. I do have a Reactor in my car I could go grab to see, but the Reactor is definitely straighter with a fade at the end, and we'll see how it compares to the Pyro and the Gyro Palooza one. But I also wanted to compare it to some of my Discmania discs. So I've got a Glacier we're going to compare it to. This is the prototype Glacier out of the mystery box. I've got an MD4, the Eternal Void Kyle Klein MD4, and then I've got the special edition Shadowstone. This is a C-Line Method. I really like the Method. Has a little bit more glide than a lot of them. So we'll compare it against these discs and see how it flies. So pick this field because we've got a good headwind coming at us today. These are all supposed to be really good discs for fighting the headwind, not flipping up, not getting very much turn out of them, but a good, reliable fade and very reliable in the wind. So today, with the good headwind coming towards us, we can use this line right down the sideline of the football field and see how it tracks, how quick it fades, kind of see how far they're going, and just kind of get a comparison of these. I haven't warmed up yet, so I'm going to throw a couple of throws to get warmed up, and then we'll come back and we'll get some launched out there. Okay, we're going to start with the Gyro Palooza balance. It's got a great feel. I actually really like the hand feel of this disc. Feels really good. It's a nice, it's not like super gummy, but it does have some flex to it, so it feels pretty good. I'm going to throw it right down try and throw it right down the line. Give it a little bit of height, but not too much. You can see it definitely hooks up, has quite a bit of fade there. Try and throw the next one, the special edition balance. Again, pretty gummy, feels really nice in the hand. Like this one as well. Try and throw this one about the same. Maybe a little bit more height underneath it, but definitely hooks up and has pretty much the same amount of fade. All right, next up, we're gonna go with the Pyro. This one's not quite as gummy, a little bit stiffer. Really nice forehand disc. This one definitely works well on a forehand. Let's see how we do here. And I leaked that one a little bit to the right, or to the left, but we'll have to throw them all a couple times just to see, give us a good idea. Next, I've got the C-line method. And I pulled that one a little bit to the right, but you can see that it's gliding out there quite a ways, hooking up and coming back. MD4 up next. MD4 starts hooking up pretty good. Definitely doesn't have as much glide, and then comes in. And then the Glacier. Glacier is one that, I don't know, this one does seem to flip up quite a bit more. You can see it actually turned. I did release it a little bit to the right, but it did turn, but it's got a solid, consistent comeback. I'm gonna go pick those up and throw again, try and get them a little bit more consistent, and then we'll take a look at where they actually landed next time. I've gotten a few throws now, and I don't feel like I'm consistent enough to be able to go out there and say, oh, here's where they landed. This is a clear sign of how they fly. We're gonna throw them all again. Hopefully this time, release is pretty consistent. I'm gonna try to keep it a pretty flat release. A lot of these last ones came out on hyzer as I was looking at them, so we're gonna try and keep these ones a little bit flatter. Just kind of drive them out there, not too high, not too low, and see if I can be a little bit more consistent. That's one of my problems, is I struggle with consistency. All right, Gyro Palooza balance up first. We're gonna go in pretty much the same order as we did last time, and let's see. Okay, first up is gonna be the prototype Gyro Palooza balance. A little bit of an early release, but you can definitely see how overstable that thing is. Just keeps carrying out that way. All right, next up is gonna be the special edition. That was the release I was looking for. But you can see it definitely still hooked way up and carried out there. Pyro. Super, super beefy. Put it a little high. Put it a little higher than I should have. MD4. Okay. C-line method. Pulled that one a little bit to the right, but you can see it still comes back, fights its way back. And then the Glacier, which does have that tendency to flip up. You see it flipped completely to flat, carried out there, and now has a good fade. All right, let's walk out here and see where they all ended up. Here we are at midfield, and you can see you've got the Pyro and the Gyro Palooza right there. You've got the special edition right there, MD4, Glacier, and then out a little bit further is the C-line method. So all of them went pretty close to the same distance out here, but you can see, whereas these three faded about a third to a halfway across the field, both of the balances and the Pyro faded more than halfway across the field. With the Pyro being held up a little bit high in the air, it definitely carried out here the furthest to the left. You've got it sitting way out here, almost to the numbers on this side. And then, like I said, there's the Gyro Palooza balance. We'll pick up, continue to walk about 10 yards further is the special edition balance. Almost in line with it is the MD4. About 1 yard behind that one is the Glacier. And then about 5 yards up, we've got our method. All right, I'm gonna walk back, give them another throw, and see do those results continue to be what we see? I don't know. We'll find out. All right, all the throws so far, I've been probably at about 70, 75%. So I'm gonna give this one a little bit more juice, try and keep it right down this line, see how it goes. Gyro Palooza up first. May have given that a little bit of ante, because it actually, with this gusty wind, it actually stood up, got a little bit of drift, and then came back. We'll see what we get on special edition. About the same flight there. It definitely stood up a little bit. Let's see what we get with the Pyro. Same throw. Very straight, right down the line, but that one definitely hooked up a lot more than either of those balances. All right, MD4, Eternal Void. Huh, surprisingly, that one fought more when it was thrown harder. Glacier. Very, very straight. All right, and last we'll go with the method. I definitely pulled that one to the left, or to the right, sorry. Definitely pulled that one to the right. And over onto the track. All right, so I've done quite a few throws, probably 20 of them off camera. And I will say that if thrown driven, both of these will fly relatively straight for a long time. Probably for my arm speed, it's going 250 straight and then a fade at the end, getting out to about 270, 275. Consistently, they're within, I don't know, 10 feet of each other. The Pyro, at least this version of the Pyro, and this one's beat up pretty good. This one still is much more overstable than these, and if hit really well, does actually travel a little bit further than these. It's a little bit more aerodynamic looking than the balances. Both of these balances look extremely, extremely similar. The most flippy of all these discs, the one that's definitely going to stand up, is the Glacier. Both of these, especially if you get the nose up at all, are going to fade really hard, as are these. So if you're looking for something that you can put up a little bit high, nose up, and get it to fade really good, any of these are going to work. If you're looking for one that's going to get probably the most distance, the Glacier has been the farthest traveling of all of these, but do expect that you're going to have to put it on probably a little bit of hyzer, otherwise it's going to flip up and turn a little bit. Not much, and it does always come back. I have not had this not come back. But I'm actually kind of digging the way that these fly. When put on a good amount of power, they hold a really nice straight line. And for me, these are really comfortable in the hand. I mean, actually, even of the ones I've been bagging, I don't know, I think this one may end up in my bag for a little while, just to see how it works out, how it beats in. But I'm kind of enjoying the way this one's flying. I'm gonna do a couple more throws, putting a little bit nose high, a little bit of a hyzer angle, just to see, how hard do these things bite when put on the wrong angle, or if you're trying to get something to really fade hard, getting it around a corner, getting it around an obstacle, and getting down, past the mouth of something and into a fairway that turns really hard. I want to kind of see how all of these fare on something like that. So that's what I'm going to do next. All right, again, I'm going to start with the Gyro Palooza. A little bit of hyzer on this one and a little bit higher. Definitely bites hard. All right, same thing for the special edition balance. Oh, not as much height. That one slipped out. All right, Pyro. C-line method. Glacier. Glacier definitely flipped up a little bit. And MD4. Okay, taking this one out of the equation. So this is a special edition. It was an early release. If you look right there, you've got the Gyro Palooza. And then over here, you can see spread out, you've got all the others pretty much in a, I don't know, 30-foot circle right there. You've got the Pyro. Just beyond it is the Method. Glacier over here went deepest. And then the MD4. So you can kind of see where they all ended up. And the prototype Gyro Palooza one did not travel quite as far or fade quite as much. All right, so I'm going to take a couple of throws here and throw over the top of the camera. Camera's pointed, let me just make sure it's good. Yeah, camera's pointed right down the line. So you should be able to get an idea of how it carries straight when thrown on a driven line before fading out. All right, guys, so I've done a lot of throws now with both of these, Gyro Palooza and the special edition. And honestly, they're very, very, very similar. I would say on about 90% of the throws when they were thrown the same, this one faded about 10 feet further than this one. Distance was about the same on both of them. Hand feel is the same on both of them. Profile is the same on both of them. I don't know that this is any different than this. They're very, very similar. That being said, you know, and these are both equal weight, 176, 177. A gram isn't going to make a difference. So both very comparable. Having thrown all my Discmania ones, which are ones that have all been in my bag, actually the MD4 is what's in my bag right now. I recently took this one out and I recently took this one out, but the MD4 has stayed in there. The reason the MD4 has stayed in over these is I like the feel of this S-Line Horizon plastic from Discmania. The rim feels really good. The plastic itself feels really good. What I will say is I actually prefer the hand feel of this, which isn't surprising because I throw a hex and a reactor. I like the feel of the mids. I really like the feel of the MVP Axiom mids over a lot of the others. They're not quite as deep. They just feel better in my hand. The problem with the Glacier here is it's got kind of a sharp edge and it's hard. It doesn't really feel that great. And pretty much the same with this Method, and it's a little bit deeper. Now, I love the way that the Method flies. Absolutely has been a workhorse for me in the past. But I went to the MD4 and I've kind of been really digging it. I think for now though, I may take that out and put this in. However, before I make that decision, I will probably do a couple more days of field work and just kind of see, is this really flying the way that I like? Now, I will say that, like I said, I was getting about 270 feet, throwing it pretty straight when I got a good drive on it. If I put it up a little bit higher, I was getting anywhere between 230 to 260 with a very nice fade. But when I got it coming back with the wind behind me, well over 300 feet, and with just a little bit of a flex, I could keep it on a pretty straight line. I wasn't having it fight out super fast. Like, I saw a lot of videos with people throwing it and it was fighting out really fast and coming back, and I'm not having that. Like, it's actually working pretty well for me. And I mean, come on, look at that. That is a really cool stamp design on here. I mean, even the Gyro Palooza one's pretty cool, but this one was flying a little bit better for me today than the Gyro Palooza. And, you know, I threw both of them quite a few times out here. And yeah, I think it's worth at least going and doing a little bit more field work with this one to determine whether or not it's gonna make the bag. But right now, it's a pretty strong contender to take my overstable mid slot. So yeah, I took this one out after a while. It had been in there. I didn't really enjoy throwing this one. These ones came in pretty good. This one, I didn't like the fact that I thought that this one was gonna replace my reactor. I really thought this was gonna be the one to replace my reactor. However, that flip up and a little bit of turn is not something I get out of the reactor. I can throw the reactor pretty hard and it just goes dead straight and then a fade at the end. And not a hard fade. These are a much harder fade. So, I don't know. We'll take the bag out. We'll throw a whole bunch, see what ends up getting in the bag. But right now, one of these two will probably be what stays in the bag. But we'll see. The MD4 is just a little bit deeper, but not much. Not much. I like the feel of both of these a lot. So we'll see what makes the bag. But if you guys are interested, go check them out. They're not as overstable as people are making them out to be. At least that's my experience and what you guys saw here. If you get the nose up, or if you're in a tailwind, it may be a little bit different. Your results may vary, but hey, those were my experiences today. Thank you guys for checking it out. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them down below. I'll talk to you guys next time. See ya.